following narrative involves psychological abuse, forced dehumanization, and the synthetic stripping of an individual identity. The Stanford prison experiment is a case study of how quickly ordinary people could turn into monsters when given a badge and a blind eye. Listener discretion is very mandatory.
I would advise.
Yeah, for all these mandatory.
Sign up, buddy.
Welcome to High Frights. In 1971, in a basement of Jordan Hall at Stanford University, a man named Philip Zimbardo decided to build a world. It wasn't just a big world, just a hallway and a few converted offices, but it was designed to answer a terrifying question. What happens when you put good people in an evil place? Does the person make the place, or does the place make the person? Usually, we think of prisons as places for criminals. But for 6 days in August, the only crime committed was being a college student looking to make a $15 a day pay. I got my glass ready with a bowl of some type of rinse. For this one, we're really going to need it.
Oh yeah, this is gonna get into the very deep depravities of the human mind.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Also, if y'all can't hear, I have my very, very lovely husband, Chaotic, with me as well. Of course, you gotta get the daily coughing aids. First time my lighter doesn't want to work. Hey, you can't have the bottle.
I was hoping you'd grab the lighter and got the bowl.
Also, I only say some type because we get different types and I'll just mix them. That we don't know which one's which. Today, the archives revealed the bars we built for ourselves and the architect who forgot that he was a scientist in the first place. The file's now open and let us begin. To understand the Stanford prison experiment, you first need to understand that it was a theatrical... It started with a theatrical flourish. Zimbardo didn't just have the students show up in a lab. He coordinated with the Palo Alto Police Department to perform an actual arrest at students' homes. They were charged with things like armed robbery, reading their rights, cuffed, and taken to a real police station for booking. Then they were blindfolded and driven to the quote-unquote Stanford County Jail. From the first second, the set and setting were designed to induce shock and submission. The 24 students were randomly assigned either as guards or prisoners. To strip away from their humanity, Zimbardo used symbols. The prisoners were given mocks, no underwear, and a heavy chain around their ankle. They were no longer considered men, they were just numbers. Like prisoner 819, prisoner 416, you get the gist.
I remember the video too.
Yeah, we did see a video on it as well.
They quite literally treated them like objects.
The guards were given khaki uniforms, whistles, and mirrored glasses. The glasses were key because they prevented any eye contact, making the guards feel like faceless enforcers of the state, rather than also realizing that they're students themselves. They were told to maintain order, but they weren't given any proper training, or any training really for that matter. They were just told to make the prisoners feel powerless. By day 2, the play acting turned into a nightmare. This is just the second day of them being there.
Literally just.
The prisoners revolted, barricading themselves in their cells. The guards responded with fire extinguishers and psychological warfare. They created privileged cells to turn the prisoners against each other. One guard, and this is just a nickname of John Wayne, nickname was given to them by the prisoners, took his role to a sadistic extreme. He forced prisoners to clean toilets with their bare hands, and he made them do mindless push-ups while he stood on their backs. He even forced them into the hole, which is a tiny, dark closet used for, solitary confinement. The most terrifying part of all of this was the researchers watched all of it through hidden cameras and did nothing. They became voyeurs of their own orchestrated chaos. In the archives, the biggest villain wasn't the John Wayne guard. It was actually Philip Zimbardo himself. He didn't just watch the experiment, but he also participated in it himself. He took on the role as the prison superintendent. He became so obsessed in his prison that he lost the objective of the lens as a scientist entirely. He got so much into the role play. He ended up LARPing.
Got too into the LARP.
Got too into the LARP.
You know what the worst part is that I'm honestly very happy about?
What?
The fact that even if they were so scared of consequences, they still realized that it was an experiment, because the prisoners could have very well had a "they have no bullets" moment and just straight up ride. But they still maintained the fear of, like, they had severe punishment if anything would happen. So, like, realistically, they couldn't do anything.
I don't really blame the students that were, like, listed as prisoners, because they didn't know that they weren't actually arrested. They faked arresting them, remember?
That is why.
So it's like, I don't even think they realize that that's not a real prison, and realistically, they can leave whenever they want. Like, I blame more the students that was listed as guards, because there's no way that you think you're arrested and then they just give you a baton and it's like, okay, go ahead.
Do what you want with it.
Yeah, do what you want. Like, there's no way they thought that's what prison was. Being in college. Like,
oh, baby, you have no idea how not exactly intelligent some college students could be. And common sense, of course.
Yeah, but I'm also giving the benefit of the doubt of, like, this is just average college students with, like, normal mentality, normal GPA, normal, like, level of intelligence, that have common sense that most people should have. Yeah. That most people should have. Oh, thank you. I'm special. He packed my bowl for me. Anyways. Let's go back into the fucking thing. I am so sorry. When a prisoner had a hysterical breakdown, screaming and crying for release, Zimbardo didn't see a suffering student. He saw a prisoner trying to trick the system. It wasn't until his girlfriend, a fellow psychologist by the name of Christina Maslach? Apologies, I know I'm pronouncing that last name wrong. Maslach. I think that's pronounced Maslach. But when his girlfriend Christina Maslach visited the basement on the 6th day and expressed horror at what she saw, Zimbardo finally snapped out of his trance. He ended up ending the study 8 days early, only because his partner came and was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
What are you
doing? Like, what the hell?
We're physically and mentally torturing these students right now.
Yeah, also, that's more of like a nervous laugh. I'm not laughing at the situation. I apologize. Oh, God. The archives of the 21st century have cast a cold, hard light on this study. Recent investigators and there are leaked tapes out there suggest that the spontaneous cruelty of the guards wasn't as natural as Zimbardo claimed. In many cases, the guards were encouraged by the research assistants to act tough. They were told that the success of the study depended on them creating an atmosphere of oppression. The John Wayne guard later admitted that he just put on a show just to help the researchers to get useful data. While the experiment is still used to explain the horrors of places like Abu Ghraib, many modern psychologists view it more as a staged drama rather than a scientific experiment. It proved that people will act out of scripts that they're given, especially when they think the scientists want them to. So basically, going back to on how the John Wayne guards kind of confession, I guess, they wholeheartedly knew that it was an experiment, and they still went as hard as they did. Yeah, I feel like they should have gotten charges for that.
Genuinely really should have gotten charged for that. I don't know how no one got charged for it.
Like, not even just the dude hosting the actual experiment. I feel like
God should have gotten
yeah, whoever played as the guard as well.
The hell they were doing. They seem to have not shown a single bit of remorse.
Yeah. Yo, I don't even know what I would do if I was in that situation. Like,
pressing charges of the motherfucker.
well, I mean, I could have sworn they pressed charges at one point. I mean, can't really press charges against like a governmental issue thing, though. I mean, you can, but it's not gonna go well. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I've never really gotten into that much trouble with the government.
We got in that much trouble with the government.
I was singing it in my head, but I'm like, I can't sing that out loud. Copyright issues. Okay, moving on to the next one.
Hold on.
Huh?
Little side. You imagine had the irony of putting copyright on a song called "I'm Not a Thief."
The irony of that would be crazy. Especially with what's going on. It's just like, also, I just now am turning off the fan. I apologize if that was in people's ears.
Here's to hoping not.
I hope not.
Yeah, back to your story.
Before we open this next one, another very necessary warning. The narrative we're about to enter involves non-consensual administration of powerful hallucinogenics and the systematic psychological destruction of an American and Canadian citizens. Also, state-sponsored torture.
We're talking about MKUltra.
Yep, MKUltra is the ultimate betrayal of the concept of free will. Listener discretion is absolutely mandatory. And please, for the love of God, do not compare anything from Project MKUltra to something that's going on in today's day. For legal reasons, I don't want anyone getting in trouble. Not that I don't agree nor disagree.
Just really don't feel in trouble.
I don't want anyone getting locked up on some dumb shit because they wanted to put a comment on a YouTube video. If you're sensitive to themes of brainwashing or governmental abuse, please turn away now. During the Cold War, the CIA was terrified. They saw American POWs returning from Korea and China sounding like different people. And they convinced themselves that the communists had perfected brainwashing. So, of course, the CIA decided to beat them to it. From 1953 to 1973, the agency ran a quote-unquote top secret program to find a way to hack the human mind. They didn't just want to know what you were thinking, They wanted to be able to tell you how to think.
Just completely wipe your mind.
Yeah, basically just to completely try to control you. So I definitely need to take a hit from the very nice glass piece that we own before this one, because I'm a little too clear headed for this right now. Give me 1 second. Are you ready?
Yeah, give me smoke it.
Well, since we gotta share a lighter, I'll just smoke and then give you the lighter. Yeah. Okay. Feel free to join in if you can. That goes for like if you legally can, not just if you have any. Even though no children should ever be watching this channel, little PSA to any children or kiddos. Don't do any drugas. Until you
What if I got help?
don't do any drugs. And if you do, make sure you're of age and you are allowed to use, say, my body, my choice. Wait until you're like 18 plus or like 21 plus in most places. Please, because I know I want everyone to be okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway,
I'm just also getting a drink real quick. Cottonmouth is it's a lovely, lovely factor.
maybe.
I already took my.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna continue on while you take yours. Is that okay? All right. Now, tonight, the archives revealed the shadows of the Operation Midnight Climax and the man who wanted to quite literally erase the soul. Now, to understand MKUltra, we now have to understand Dr. Sidney Go- Galaeb. Galaeb? Gottlieb.
Gottlieb.
Yeah, Gottlieb. There we go. Thank you. Some of these last names are hard to pronounce. Please be patient with me. Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. He was the CIA's chief chemist, and he was a man who lived in a cabin, drank goat's milk, and spent his days figuring out how to kill people with poison cigars and, make them lose their minds with a little bit of LSD. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. Dr. Sidney was the head of the technical service staff. Under his direction, MKUltra became an umbrella for 149 sub-projects. They weren't just using drugs, they were using hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and even electromagnetic signals. They were looking for a quote-unquote truth serum that worked and a, I guess, mind wipe that could turn a human being into a programmable asset.
A sleeper agent.
Yeah, pretty much on some Men in Black shit. The most infamous part of the archives takes us to San Francisco and New York City. Or just New York as a whole. Sorry. This was the Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA set up safe houses, decorated them with lush bachelor pads, and hired prostitutes to lure unwitting men back to the rooms. Behind two-way mirrors, CIA agents sat with martinis, watching as the women slipped LSD into men's drinks. They weren't looking for military secrets, they were just observing how people reacted to being, as high as a kite in a social setting without knowing why. It was the most expensive, most illegal, and most unethical peep show in history. And, funny enough, funded by US tax dollars, because, of course.
Why not?
Because why not? Just a little cherry on top on that little LSD cake. While the safe houses were happening on the West Coast, a much darker version was unfolding in Montreal. Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron at the Allen Memorial Institute was funded by the CIA to perform a psychic driving. He would put patients into drug-induced comas for weeks at a time, and while they were unconscious, he would play looped messages over headphones, sometimes hundreds of thousands of times, trying to wipe their original personality and reprogram a new one. He used electroshock therapy at levels 30 to 40 times the normal limit. He didn't just create he didn't create super soldiers, of course, because this ain't Captain America, sadly. He created broken human beings that forgot how to use a fork or even recognize their own children. In the archives, one name serves as the smoking gun for the program's lethality. Frank Oslin. He was a government scientist who attended a retreat where Sydney spiked everyone's drink with LSD. And Oslin didn't have a good trip. He spiraled into a deep depression and paranoia. Days later, while under CIA supervision in a New York hotel, Oslin supposedly jumped through a closed window to his death.
Okay.
For decades, the government called it self-offing. But when his body was exhumed in the 90s, forensic evidence suggests that he'd been struck in the head before he even went out the window. Oslin knew too much about the biological weapons they were developing, and he had become a liability. And the government does what the government does best. Bury shit. Anyways. Now, I will admit the archives of MKUltra are incomplete, but that's by design. In 1973, as the Watergate scandal was breaking, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all MKUltra files be destroyed. Of course, again, he wanted to burn the evidence of 2 decades of crimes against humanity. Sounds extremely familiar. Thousands of documents went into the incubator. The only reason we even know about MKUltra at all is because of a clinical error. There was some financial records that were stored in a completely different building, but it survived the purge. These follow the money receipts led to a 1975 church committee hearings, where the world would finally learn about the Manchurian Candidate. It wasn't just a movie, but it was a governmental goal.
Yeah.
I will apologize. That was a little bit more of an uncomfortable type of topic because it reveals the ideology that we usually associate the villains of World War II with actually some of like the deepest roots here in American soil.
Unfortunately.
The shit. Can't even make it up either.
Yeah,
Like, as much as I would love to turn around and be like, oh, April Fools, this never happened, ahaha, you can't even make this up. But either way, we are now on the final, like, experiment of the night.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And this one is going to be very interesting one. So before we get into
Eugenics.
before we get into the last case of the night, Another very necessary warning. The narrative we're about to enter involves state-mandated sterilization, extreme systematic racism, apologies, and the dehumanization of the poor, the disabled, and people of color. We're looking at decades-long campaigns to, quote-unquote, weed out human beings deemed unfit by the government. Listener discretion is mandatory. This one already makes me feel uneasy.
This is going good.
Yeah. So to start off, most people like to think of America as a melting pot. But for much of the 20th century, a powerful group of scientists, politicians, and billionaires wanted to turn that pot into a laboratory. And still do to this day, sadly. They called it eugenics, the science behind better breeding. They didn't just want a melting pot, they wanted a filtered one. From the 1920s all the way to the 1970s, the US wasn't just studying genetic perfection, it was enforcing it through the surgical blade. Now I got the final bowl of the night. You ready? Oh boy, can I have the lighter? Because I'm already. I got it. And it's gonna do the same as last time.
Yeah.
Cheers. Here's ASMR of coughing. All right. Now, these archives reveal how America tried to engineer its way to a master race, decades before the rest of the world even caught on.
Sound a little familiar.
Sound a little too familiar, but this happened before. History's just repeating itself. To understand the scale of this in general, you have to look at the Cold Spring Harbor in New York. It was the home of the Eugenics Record Office, or also known as the ERO, led by Charles Davenport and Larry Laughlin. They weren't back alley cranks. They were funded by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Institution. They sent field workers across the country to gather data on family pedigrees. They were looking for traits they considered socially inadequate, which included everything from epilepsy to to feeble mindedness, to poverty, to waywardness. They even had they even held a fitter family contest at state fairs where families would be judged like livestock. If you had blue eyes and a clean record, you got a ribbon. And if you didn't, you were marked as a burden on the state.
If you didn't look like a day walker, then you just got fucking thrown away.
Um, this is gonna get into some territory. We're gonna have to use some code words and names coming up pretty soon.
Oh boy.
In the year 1927, it holds a terrifying legal landmark now. The Buck V. Bell. Carrie Buck was a young woman in Virginia who had who'd been committed to a state institution for the feeble-minded. After being essayed and becoming pregnant, the state would sterilize her and prevent her from passing on her defective traits. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. wrote the majority opinion, apologies. And it remains one of the most chilling sentences in American legal history. 3 generations of imbeciles are enough. With that one sentence, the highest court in the land gave the green light to forced sterilization. It wasn't just legal; it was considered a progressive social duty. I gotta get a drink of water before I continue reading this. Hold on.
See the cotton mouth is whatever we need to get into right now.
It's not even just cotton mouth. I'm like genuinely getting sick from this.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those types of experiments.
All right, now it's going to be the part where we're going to have to use a lot of
a lot of subtle words.
A lot of subtle, not subtle. I'm just going to have to use nicknames and hope y'all get it. The American Eugenics movement was a blueprint for Nazi Germany. Adolfo Hitler actually wrote fan mail to American Eugenics. He praised Larry Laughling's model hallucinogenic sterilization law and used it as a direct bias for the 1933 Nuremberg's law. Thank you. When the Nazis were put on a trial at the Nuremberg after the war, their defense lawyers explicitly cited Buck v. Bell and the American Eugenics law to justify their own actions. They provided the pseudo-scientific justification for the Holocaust, and that is a shadow that never truly, leaves the room. You might think that after the horrors of World War II, America would have shredded these laws, but archives show that they've lingered for decades. In states like California and North Carolina, sterilizations actually increased after the war. But of course, the target shifted. It became less about the feeble-mindedness and more about controlling the populations of African American, Indigenous, and Latino, mainly women. In the 1960s and 70s, thousands of women in Puerto Rico were sterilized, often without their full consent, in a program called La Operación. In 1973, the Ralph sisters, these were 2 African American women in Alabama, aged not women, children, sorry, aged 12 and 14, were sterilized by a federal funded clinic by their mother, who couldn't read and only signed the paper with an X, thinking that the daughters were just getting shots. Now, the archives of the 21st century show a slow, painful awakening. States like North Carolina and California have finally begun to issue formal apologies and in some cases, repercussions to the surviving victims of these programs. But the ideology of eugenics didn't die, it just changed its clothes. We see its echoes in today in debates over designer babies, insurance algorithms, and the quote unquote worth of disabled lives. That sounds horrible, but I meant it as like you shouldn't put a worth on anyone's life, doesn't matter.
Pretty much.
We learned that what you're Oof. We learned that when you give the state the power to decide who fits to exist, the blade always finds its way to the most vulnerable among us.
Yeah.
The US Eugenics program is a reminder that progress can be a mask for prejudice. For prejudice. Sorry. Prejudice. Prejudice. What?
You need a ball pack.
No, I don't. I need water.
This case specifically got you shook.
Oof. It got me irritated.
Yeah.
Science is a tool, but not a soul. It's just a way to sharpen bias when it comes to the US. We traveled a long, dark road through the archives today, from a university basement in California where college kids become monsters, to the secret CIA safe houses where the government tried to erase the human soul, and finally to the sterile clinics across America where the science of perfection was used to justify the blade. When you look at these three files together, a very terrifying pattern emerges. It isn't just about bad science, it's also about when authority is given a blank check. These aren't just stories about the 20th century, these are warnings for 2026 and beyond. As technology advances, and as we move into the era of neutral links, genetic editing, and algorithmic surveillance, the lessons of these archives are more vital than ever. This is a lot to process.
Yeah.
And honestly, if your head's spinning, you're not alone. Take some time to step away from the screen. Breathe.
This is not even like the worst we can cover.
Yeah, this honestly, we can 110% like cover more things.
Oh wow!
I gotta do the outro though. So
Indeed.
yeah. Take some time to step away from the screen, breathe some air, look at the stars, and remember that your mind and your body belong to you. Not scientists, not agents, not government officials. You!
Just you!
Just you!
Only you!
Now, if these stories hit home, hit the subscribe button and join us in the archives. Drop a comment and tell us which of these three cases did you think had the biggest impact on our world today. Honestly, I want to keep this conversation going and hear about some opinions. As long as you keep it legal, and as long as you're not going to get in trouble for something that you're going to say, feel free. Feel free to give any opinions.
Unless you're feeling brave enough.
Unless you're feeling brave enough. But even then, I don't want to be accused of someone getting put in jail. I don't want to go through that. Stay safe and always keep your eyes out for the mysterious. This has been High Frights. Good night.